Hello, I'm Michael, and this is Tarot by the Tree. We're continuing our discussion of the minor arcana. Those are the four suits that go from ace to king and are almost like our regular deck of playing cards. The card we're looking at today is the Five of Swords. It's a really interesting card. It's a card that's often confused with another card we'll see later on. As a little preamble, I just want to talk for a moment about the way the four suits work. Think of the four suits as being attractant to each other. With cups, you have happiness, and that attracts joy. With staves, you have ideas that attract plans. And in coins, we already know that money attracts money. And with swords, we will see in this card that power attracts force. We're looking at the swords now, and the swords tell a story. It won't be a continuous story, but it's interesting that from the Ace of Swords to the Five of Swords, we have a kind of a monologue going on. And we'll just trace through the first few sword cards. It starts out with the Ace of Swords. You have the inkling of power within you. You realize somehow over time you have gained an authority over something. You have the ability to change things outside yourself. You start gaining power in some field. Could be as simple as putting food in a goldfish bowl, but quite likely it's far more complex than this. And this person, as they achieve power at a low level, they find that they are expected to be a bit of an authority, and they have to make a decision. And this decision is mostly informed by their imagination because they don't have all the facts yet, but they realize the buck stops here. They have to make the decision, which they do. In the Three of Swords, we see, as a result of the decision, not everybody was happy. They wouldn't ask you to make a decision if everybody agreed. They'd only ask you to make a decision if there was some dissension. You made a decision, and you've alienated some people. And part of that was a loss of an affection that you had taken for granted. The use of your power made for a loss of affection. There's a wisdom that comes in the Four of Swords that suggests that power be locked away, kept for the possibility of self-defense, but mostly just to give you confidence and the ability to deny something or pursue something, a little bit of autonomy. This is the warrior's repose, and this is the aspect of not demonstrating power. If you don't keep your power hidden, which is the best thing to do, if you choose to brandish it, that takes us right into card number 5, Five of Swords. And that's the card that we're looking at today. As a bit of a recap, swords is power. It's really external power, not just directed towards yourself. It's not just the ability to move your own muscles. It extends, it allows you to say no to something. It takes a degree of power. It allows you to demand something, to say, I'm going to do this. It's power that affects outside of you. It's in the 5th Sephira on the Tree of Life, and that's the Hierophant. The Hierophant is a very special card. It's a cross from the benevolent king. It's the two aspects to people rising up into society, and this is one of teaching. She is between the two pillars of severity and mercy, and at her feet are people who have come to study, and she will decide if they're worthy or not of studying. This is on the left side of the tree, the path of severity. It is a female aspect, and it is a place of difficulty and restriction, but that's the only way to emerge with a kind of understanding that this place will allow. The Hierophant card is kind of a school of higher learning that selects students, but not all applicants are accepted. There are lessons to be learned, and they can change a life, and these lessons may be painful. We'll describe the card now. The sky is blue with jagged gray clouds. A man who is not you, who is not the aspirant, stands grinning in the offshore breeze. He wears a red shirt and leggings with tan boots and a green tunic. The tunic is over top. He stands on solid ground. In the nearby distance, two men wander away in grief and defeat. The meaning of this card: learning to accept defeat with grace. And that sums it up. Some never learn this. Defeat brings out their animal nature, and that's expressed in denial, in cries of "that's unfair," retaliation, and other things. The fact is that you didn't pay attention to the lesson in the Four of Swords to keep power as an aspect that you see, but others don't apprehend at first. Power is addictive. It compels you. And you have entered into a situation where you wanted to display your power. And it's inevitable. We're just passing out through the younger part of the suit of swords, where power has just been gained and some lessons are being learned. You wanted to display your power, and in your mind, it was for some heroic reason. You were doing this for the betterment of this or the good of that, or to protect something else. You have entered into a fair contest, and as we said, like attracts like. You've displayed power, you've attracted power. And in this contest, you exerted your full power. And a mixture of very heady feelings would go on, would just overwhelm you with the thrill of having an enemy and confronting them and the hope of winning. Your opponent engaged you and soundly defeated you. In this card, he is gathering the spoils of war. Your presumed power is gone. You feel lost. You have lost. In a reading, I would say something like this: there is some sort of challenge in your life. You have identified an enemy. In the name of some righteous cause, you have challenged him, but he was unexpectedly, significantly more powerful than you. You feel disgraced, victimized, and robbed. All that you have left is your reaction to defeat, and that's what this card is trying to teach. Will your reaction be petulance or grace? Losing with grace keeps your reputation intact. You still have power. A bad loser loses a reputation, and you are suddenly seen as powerless. This is a card about an aspect of power, the need to display it, and the lesson of being defeated and being able to hold your head up, get up, and move on with your life. There is an aspect of this that will overflow into all the aspects of our lives, whether interpersonal, business, or whatever. Why don't we turn to some of the questions now? Jocelyn.
Why is there an expanse of water in the background?
The water means that after the battle, there is nowhere else for you to go, and there is no help coming to you. It's over, you're alone, there is a feeling of being shattered, and what's even worse is you have actually, in a sense, given power to your adversary.
Who exactly is the main figure with the swords?
Uh, in a sense, it's a character you made. By displaying the power, you issued a challenge, and at a perhaps a minor level, you made this person your enemy. It's possible you could have, with the 2020 vision of hindsight, you could have approached it a different way.
Who are the two figures wandering away?
Both those figures are you. It is you, or it could be you and your aides, but I see it as the two aspects of yourself, whatever you think your two aspects are. They are both dash. It could be your power and your reputation, or your hopes and your fears. Those two figures are the totality of you split up now with only loss and the idea of donating some of your force to your adversary.
What will he do with all those swords?
They add to his power. This is a powerful person, and their aspects, every adventure that you win sort of adds to your legend, to your reputation, and to how people see you. This is a person who is gaining power, and the reason he's gaining power is he has directly taken it from you.
Why is the victor smiling?
Um, he's smiling at your immaturity. Even though we're halfway through the swords now, you gave him a gift. It's like some pompous but not particularly powerful person came up to you and, for no real reason, decided to puff up and challenge you, and you had no choice but to defend yourself, but there was no threat. And you knew that the self defense would only end up helping you. It would probably add to your supplies and your gifts a little bit at the end of it. He's smiling. It's sort of a smirk. There was never really a contest, and in his head, he thinks of you as foolish to have done this. Um, you gain nothing, you lose a lot, and he knew how the contest would end even before it started.
Are the people in the cards still enemies after the challenge is over?
No, this isn't a war, it's just a battle. Life can go on much as it was after this. This is a battle that could take place at a dinner table, or in an office, or a telephone call, or in person. This is does not mark the end of a life at all. It just marks a person as being in the future a little less challenging to unknown forces.
Is this a card of total defeat?
No. Um, this is a card of minor defeat, of minor loss, of embarrassment, but most of all, of realization that power attracts power. And every contest, there is a risk of losing. So you don't want to attract power. It's going to be bothersome and potentially dangerous.
Sorry. So Barbara in the chat is saying, could this card also caution you to be careful of your reactions if you have used your power and won, like don't gloat?
That is an interesting way of looking at it that I hadn't thought of. Except mean, it could be Barbara. I'm sort of thinking, but he does have that bit of a smirk on his face. Um, I tend to think of this card as a lesson in power and how to treat being defeated. But I see that this could be a bit of an indication on how to win with grace, and I hadn't thought of that.
And also, when you're gloating, it's
Nobody likes that.
no,
Yeah.
you're
It's
not
like an
making
insult.
friend. Yes,
Yeah.
it's an insult. Final thoughts.
Um, if you lose with grace, your power is tested, but it still remains. And I think that's it. We're halfway through the swords almost, and we'll move on to the Six of Swords next day. Thanks for joining in. Bye for now.